Should a filmmaker ever stop submitting to festivals?
I'd say maybe. I mean, it really depends on what their goals are for their films or their film. Obviously on one hand, I'm going to say no. I mean, we're a festival, so obviously,
Sure.
Submissions are a big part of the lifeblood of a festival. We obviously rely upon that. We need the films to compete against each other. We need to see the best of the best. We need to receive them. If we don't receive them, we have no festival. And B, of course, a portion of a budget of a festival is revenue from sales, revenue from sponsorship, advertising, ticket sales, and submissions. So it's obviously part of what needs to be there, so we can obviously keep the lights on or whatever, so to speak. So it's important. But at the same time, not every film is meant to be in festivals. So, there is stuff made where there's just more of something that's more, maybe it's something comedic for the web or something. It's not really a festival type film where it's going to compete for big prizes or maybe try to be an Oscar nominated film. So there's some examples where you might argue like, look, maybe it's not best for you to submit to festivals, or just to not submit to so many blindly, just like looking at, hey, there's a cool festival, let me submit. Understand what you're submitting to. That's more, I guess, a bigger part of it. Knowing what festivals look for what kind of films. Does said festival like your comedy, or do they never show comedies and they only show narrative dramatic films, and they only show maybe, a festival that's all about horror and they don't want comedy, and then, or whatever, like that kind of thing. If you didn't know that or don't pay attention to that and just kind of submit to everything just because, hey, look, these cool names, or I know these festivals, or I like them, or I've been to it and it was cool, let me just submit my film, but not understanding what your chances are at that point, then yeah, you're essentially just sort of handing your money over to the festival, letting them watch it. Maybe they think it's cool, but it doesn't fit their thing. We now have the Hollywood Comedy Shorts Festival that we started 4 years ago. It's our sister festival. It's comedy. And we see submissions that come in that are literally not funny. Not saying not good comedy, not funny. Not funny as in they're just straight dramatic narrative films or dramas. So we're like, okay, you submitted to our festival, but we're not, the number of, not just one or two films, it's a bunch of films. And we're surprised. We're like, wait, so okay. And sometimes I even flag them and say, look, well, maybe we'll show this in a monthly separately and then have a different conversation with them, because it's a good film, but this is simply does not fit this festival at all. Like, we're looking, the name is comedy. We're looking for various kind of comedies, but we're looking for comedy. And if there's not one joke or comedic element to the film at all, it's not getting in. I mean, we're not looking for those kind of films, right? So then they just submitted to a festival, not even paying attention. And if you do that, then you're just wasting time and money then at that point. So there is something to be said for making sure you pay more attention to where you're submitting, research the festivals, understand what the festival looks for. You could look over their program guides. Some of them are online. HollyShorts, our guides are on isu.com, so you can find them on these websites. On our website, we've also put the links. So we have them on there. So you can see the programs from the past 5 years. Hey, let me look at 2015, 16, like what have they been programming? But yeah, I get it. That takes more time. Who has time for all that, right? But if it's something you're obviously taking serious here, there is time to be made for this. This is important, to research this stuff, to pay attention to what films play where, what kind of films they like, don't like. Again, some festivals just don't like certain kind of films, but that doesn't mean they're not taking your submission. That's the thing. Obviously the comedy festival, they came in, they submitted. We don't control what comes our way and gets submitted. The link's there, people can go to Film Freeway and submit the film. So if you submit your film incorrectly, that way we're not watching the film now and saying, okay, well, we're gonna just hand you your submission back, give your money back. No, that's not happening. We've watched the film, done the work, and you submitted and you try to compete, and it's not the right place. So if you're doing that, that's just on the filmmaker's part, that's just sort of, I guess, essentially wasting their own money and irresponsible. Like, you gotta know what you're looking for, what goals you have for your film. Where do you want it to be? What kind of festivals? What cities you want to play in? What cities do you think are not pointless to play in? What if you're like, I don't really want to play in this city because I don't really care. I don't want to go there. I don't know, whatever. Like, there's different reasons for submitting to different festivals, different places. And so I think that's a bigger part of it. I mean, there is the opposite end of that where, again, some films are just not meant for festivals perhaps, and it's not something that's meant to be submitted to festivals, then fine. Then you shouldn't submit at all and just say, okay, this film is only meant to be online to share with some friends, or just post online because it's some little silly thing and I only made it for a few minutes with no money. I don't know, something like that. But if it's something that you are, of course, taking serious, you want to get an audience and showcase and build your film up and build your career up, then yeah, I do believe in festivals. I think, yes, you should be submitting to festivals. So I guess it really depends on the film.
Well, then on the flip side, how does a filmmaker know that it's time to submit to a festival? Like, suppose they have something that they've worked on and they feel that it's ready. How do they know it's ready?
Well, again, that would go back to what we talked about earlier, is not just about researching the festivals, but going to the festivals. Because you'd also be surprised at how many filmmakers are just starting off there, maybe submitting to festivals, and actually never really gone to any festivals. And it's like, okay, you've never been to the festivals, maybe you've never been to ours or some other festivals you're submitting to. And some of that, of course, obvious reasons. If you live in Los Angeles, maybe you're not going to go to DC for DC Shorts, or maybe you've never been to New York City, so you've never been to Tribeca or whatever, like that. Okay, that's obvious, but still, you should attend whatever festivals are in your area. So if you do live in Los Angeles, there's a ton of course, festivals in Los Angeles to attend, ours and others. And there's also Southern California, so you have San Diego, you have San Francisco. I mean, you can go to festivals other places, Las Vegas. So, attend the festival, see what's out there, see what a festival film might look like. When you go to these festivals, say, hey, my film is much better than these films I'm seeing at all these festivals. Okay, I feel like my film holds up against this, so I'm going to submit to these festivals. I think it could play here, and I think it's better than these films. Okay, good. If you have no idea, never seen the trailers, never seen the festival trailer, never seen photos of the festival, never seen the lineup of the films, how do you know your film fits any of that? I mean, I guess, again, granted, some films are just a certain level of caliber of production, a lot of money spent, time, effort. It's just, if the film you walk away and you watch it, you're like, I feel really good about my film. This is a great film. I feel really confident. Yeah, you can just submit to a bunch of that. That's fine. But I mean, not every film fits all the festivals, and maybe that, maybe even after the production is done, you haven't looked at other fests and seen what's out there. You also have never done it before. Maybe the film doesn't hold up as much as you think. And of course, sometimes every person making any films, we've all made films, feels better about their film than maybe the film is. There's always a sort of a confidence of like, our film's the best, of course. So there is an element of how do we tell ourselves the truth and things like that. But, it is hard to say, but I think there's a process in place where you can just at least research the festivals more, attend more festivals, to be there and see in person what's playing at the festivals, because many of them, you can't see the films online perhaps, so you only can see them in person at the festival. So see the films, go to the festival, check it out, vibe these things out and see. Then you'll know, okay, my film compares to this, or my film doesn't compare to this. Maybe you be realistic and understand that the film doesn't fit the mold of what the festivals are looking for, what you're seeing. Because we see people at our screenings all the time. They come out, they talk to us like, wow, I was very inspired by these films. These films, the quality's great. I didn't know what to expect. I'm blown away by this. These films are really good. Now I understand what this is like, or this kind of thing. Like, they get an understanding after seeing films and seeing a few blocks of appreciation that if they didn't go, they'd have no idea. So, by doing that, they could have a better understanding of maybe my film is up for this, and maybe my film is not. I need to submit elsewhere or try to do this instead, or maybe make a different film, or maybe hold off on this one, or, things like that. So it's just, I think attending the festivals is, of course, a big way of understanding that.